Just started letting some folks in. And I can see some folks are still trickling in, but we can just go ahead and get started here and get the conversation going. So hello, everyone. Welcome to Broker Connect. People are still joining, but we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. My name's Kelly Galloway. I'm really glad you all could join us this Friday. For those of you who don't know, Broker Connect is an interactive bi-weekly meeting with top brokers who are also ARIVE users, where you can learn best practices, get insight into how other brokers use the system currently, and just get a ton of tips. So I am here today with Staci Stanley and Blake Pelton. I'm so excited to have these folks here, but before I turn it over to them to introduce themselves and before we open up the floor to your questions, just have a few pieces of business to take care of here. So for those of you who don't already know, we offer a ton of learning opportunities outside of this Broker Connect session, and they're all completely free. So we have 2 sessions of new user training every Wednesday. We also have office hours with our product experts, and this is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have a brand new onboarding and Q&A session. This is offered 3 times per week, and you don't have to be an ARIVE user to actually join this one. ARIVE University is every other Friday. This is where you learn about all of the updates and enhancements to the ARIVE platform. And then, of course, we have this session, Broker Connect, and this is every other Friday. All right. Now that I am done with that, let's dive right into Broker Connect. So Staci and Blake, welcome. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Okay, so Staci and Blake, why don't you introduce yourselves and your brokerage, and then we'll get right into some questions. So Staci, why don't you kick us off and give us a little intro?
Sure. So I am Staci Stanley, and I am with Access Home Loans. That is my company. I'm the broker owner, and I'm about 3.5 years in as the broker owner and 1 year in on ARIVE.
Awesome. Blake?
My name is Blake Pelton. I'm a broker owner with the company Lenders TPO. We're out of Tennessee. This would be, I guess, my 6th year as a broker owner, and been on the ARIVE platform since the very beginning. So I've seen it develop quite a bit.
Oh, gee. Nice. All right, awesome. Well, thank you both so much for being here again. I'm going to kick things off with a couple of questions, and then I'm just going to open up the floor. Everyone can take themselves off mute if you have a question. This session is super interactive, just so don't feel like you need to wait for me to stop and ask. All right, does anyone have any questions? Just jump right in there and ask them if you have them. So just to kind of kick it off, Staci, why don't you start by kind of talking us through how you discovered ARIVE and maybe why you decided to even try it and what led you to, continue to use it for the past year?
Sure. So I actually saw ARIVE when I was getting my brokerage up and running, but it was in that phase where, kinks were being worked out, and I just, because of everything else being so new, I thought I better go with something that I know. So I used the old desktop version of a software that we all know so much. Then when the new 1003 came out, and there was just craziness going with everyone, with it seems like almost every software system except for ARIVE, I ended up going to a different online or a web-based service and immediately disliked it. It didn't even take 6 months before I ended up switching to ARIVE. The simplicity of use of ARIVE compared to the other very web-based software, it was just night and day, because like if you wanted to change someone's employment or income, something like that, you were just having to open up multiple windows. It was like peeling an onion to get into what you needed to get to. And so when a year ago, when I did go ahead and make the switch over to ARIVE, it was like a breath of fresh air, because it had really the simplicity of the old school desktop-based software that I was looking for, because I didn't want to get too convoluted and too fancy, but it was just so easy to use. And so now the barrier to entry is just so low. It's very plug and play, very easy to just sign up, log in, and really intuitively get started and start working on your loans.
Yeah, awesome. Blake, talk to me about why you have been using ARIVE since the very beginning. So you said it yourself, is a lot different back then. It obviously has changed a ton. And talk to us about why you stuck around.
So the biggest reason was I've used probably every LOS there is. The biggest thing for me was finding something that was web-based and I didn't have to download it on a computer. I'm a Mac guy. Most people and most systems require you to use a PC. That's one of the best things about ARIVE is it's web-based. You could be out and about anywhere. You could be somewhere, a relative's house, a friend's house, and you could need to hop on, and you could actually do that with ARIVE versus some of the older systems that has to be downloaded on your computer, and you may not have it on your work laptop or your desktop, or your office. So it just really made things more simple for us. And also it was always much more of a dialed back version versus some of the other systems that are out there. I feel like brokers don't need as much as a full banking software. That's just because it's really a book of record and a way for you to pre-approve and originate loans, not really have to deal with secondary and so many other elements that are kind of on the back end of those other older systems that a lot of us had used in the past. And so it was just much easier to bring newer people in to look at that system versus some of the old stuff that basically looks like Minecraft, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. All right, so I am going to take this time to remind everyone that you can unmute yourselves and jump right in and ask questions directly to our hosts here. This time is really for you folks. This is certainly not my time to be promoting ARIVE. This is the time for you guys to ask your questions and get your answers. So if there is something that is on your mind, feel free, go ahead, unmute yourself. If you are uncomfortable with doing that, or maybe your mic isn't working, feel free to drop it in the chat or chat me directly and I will ask your question. All right, so why don't you guys, actually, can you talk me through call reports? That's something that gets brought up a lot when we talk to folks who are thinking of using ARIVE, joining the platform. So Staci, can you talk to us a little bit about call reports and maybe how that process has changed for you?
Night and day. So especially when I had my desktop-based software, they had taken out the functionality of any sort of spreadsheets and things like that to do call reports. So when I went to ARIVE and, doing my reconciliation on all my files, and then literally just clicking a button and it's done, the headache went away. I'm early now on my call reports, which is shocking because I was always dragging my feet to get them turned in. But it literally is, once your files are in order, it is literally one click and your report is pulled up almost instantaneously. So it's been a night and day shift for me.
Awesome. Blake, how about you?
Yeah, same thing. It's been night and day. Doing them before was almost like I would look at my old LOS and then I would have Excel up on another screen and I would just be entering stuff back and forth and it would take hours and it was pretty annoying to do. And I'd always mess something up or miss something. It would take probably 2 or 3 days to get done versus now you can just export it right out. And if you think something's wrong in there, you can change it. It's really simple to go back through old previous files or maybe old applications that you had in the system that maybe a loan officer or processor didn't mark the right way if we turned it down or something like that. So it's much more seamless and just so much easier to do the call report now versus the way it used to be.
Great. So Roy here is opening his brokerage. Isn't necessarily a question, but he is considering ARIVE or Lending Pad. How do you guys respond to that one?
So the onion that I referenced earlier was Lending Pad. And I don't understand why it was as difficult as it was. It seemed like, being a web-based provider, you would have thought that the technology and the seamlessness would have been there, but I found it extremely cumbersome by comparison. And of course, ARIVE has every bell and whistle that you could ever want to use. I feel like I use hardly any bells and whistles, but what I need is to be able to do things and do things quickly and have, easy to use tools, very top of mind and very easy to get to. And that is what I found with Arrive, and why I'm definitely sticking to Arrive and not making any further changes with software.
Cool. I think this is a good topic for us to get into. Roy, do you have any specific questions about maybe what you like about Lending Pad versus Arrive that we could talk through? Is there anything specific? You might be chatting it.
Well, I was going to say, I know that when I was doing a demo of Lending Pad, they didn't have any sort of a trial period or the ability to actually go in and touch it and use it and feel it. It was, let me walk you through it and show it to you on a screen, and then you make your decision. There was no ability to actually take it for a drive. So I found that personally very frustrating, but I found the inability to have my 1003 at the time when the change was happening. That was the most important thing. I was like, fine, whatever, just take my money. You have the new 1003, I will take it.
Gotcha. Okay. Roy says he doesn't really have anything specific. He's working with Encompass, but doesn't necessarily like it. And he doesn't want to use it when he starts his own brokerage. So
I've had both Encompass and Lending Pad and Arrive. Lending Pad, I've always done a lot of direct to consumer stuff. Biggest thing that I didn't like that much about other platforms is when you wanted to send somebody a quote or send something like that, if you didn't have your own system of something built out, the fee sheet was your basic fees worksheet that came with Calyx, or that's what Lending Pad has. It's not really that nice. The next thing is I'm always looking to eliminate something in my tech stack, and Arrive did that for me. Lending Pad's POS, I really don't think it's there. It wasn't that good. Their system it's a pretty robust system, but it's almost too much for a broker. There's way too much stuff on so many different tabs to where it's almost kind of chaotic. Whereas Arrive's just very easy. It flows. Everything's on the left-hand side. Another thing is, pretty sure Lending Pad was a contract. You had to do everything up front. I know Encompass was, and that was expensive. It's like $150 or $130 a seat per loan officer for 12 months. And it just, everything was super expensive on those two platforms compared to Arrive. Arrive was just, it's definitely much easier to use. And the POS is probably one of the biggest things that kind of where you can eliminate that from your tech stack. So you can have an LOS and a POS that are in the same system, to where if you had just an assistant, a loan officer assistant, or a processor working with both, versus having to go get another POS is better, because Encompass's POS and Lending Pads is nowhere near like Arrive's.
I love that you both were able to speak to that directly to Roy. So thank you for providing that. Okay, so Roy's follow-up question: should I get the basic or pro? Since it's only me for now, what are the differences? Vince, you might be able to help with this one as well, but feel free to chime in.
I'll chime in. So right now, the Pro plan has two big value adds, and that's a Zapier integration and our e-sign tool. So if you're working with a CRM, right off the bat, it's probably worth it because of Zapier. You'll be able to have your CRM communicate to Arrive through Zapier. The more quantifiable value add, though, is the e-sign tool. If you're using DocuSign right now, you can just compare, what am I paying for DocuSign and what's the cost to upgrade to Arrive e-sign, and kind of make, Blake was just talking about cutting down your tech stack. Decide if you want that extra application or use our built-in tool with the Pro plan. But that's up to you. Those two factors, how they might impact your business. And then there's going to be more pro features coming. There are already some smaller features, like you can get documents from a borrower without them actually setting up an account and other little things, but there'll be more coming. Those are the big ones, though. I don't know if you two want to speak on those features if you've gotten a chance to try them yet.
I don't have the new Pro where it integrates with the Zapier integration or the e-signature. I think I may have the basic. I don't know, but correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you could go in and you could always change your subscription Like you could start off with one and then say, I don't need this and drop it back down. Am I wrong about that? Or
Yeah, either or. It's really easy to upgrade. And if you want to downgrade it, I think you just shoot us an email and we downgrade it for you.
Cool. All right, we have another question. So can you speak to processing files within ARIVE and how ARIVE has made this easier for processors? Anyone?
That was a little tough for me because I'm kind of one and the same. So I'm looking, I'm doing everything in the file. But as far as, on the occasions that I've used a contract processor, the ability to have another user so easily integrated and to be on the same platform, seeing the same things I am, having notes in the system, it's very connective for, whether you have inside people or outside people. But yeah, beyond that, I may not be the best answer outside of that.
no, it's made things easier depending on what type of procedures and systems you've implemented in your company. I've always taken the approach of trying to manufacture the whole mortgage before we submit it to underwriting, and ARIVE's really helped that. If you do have a process or a loan officer assistant, which we have in our office, basically if they're assigned as that role on that file, once you kind of go through the application process with the borrower, if they filled out the link online or loan officer assistant took the application and filled everything out, all those roles are assigned in there. And then collecting the documents and kind of just building the whole file ready for submission to send it to underwriting is really seamless and easy versus trying to email something here, upload your documents into this POS, and then we're going to drag them over here. You can kind of build the whole file in there. It categorizes it pretty well and do income, assets, property information. And then you can also, the biggest thing, a lot of systems don't do this, is if a document's not in there that you're trying to collect in the POS system, you can just make a custom document and you can name what it is, because there's always one-off crazy things that we have to collect. No two mortgages are alike. We've always got to get something weird. And so you can name what specifically that document you need is. So it's made processing things much easier, depending on what type of approach you take. So the communication with the borrower and their ability to hop in and upload documents and put it all there, and then for your processor or loan officer assistant to kind of scrub and look through those documents is very easy. You can turn down or approve the documents that you collect, or you can request another document on top of that document. It makes it very easy.
Great, thank you. Okay, so someone is looking for a CRM, preferably one that works with ARIVE. Do you two use a CRM? What do you use?
Top of Mind or Surefire.
How about you, Blake?
I have a custom one-off Salesforce CRM that another broker has let me kind of jump onto his platform. I don't have it integrated with ARIVE. It does quite a bit of stuff. I'm wanting to integrate it with ARIVE, but it's probably going to be a good amount of work. But
Gotcha.
It's not that hard to kind of jump between the two at all.
Okay. Staci, do you recommend the CRMs that you are currently using? Do you like it?
Yeah. I mean, Surefire has come a long way in the last few years. It went from basically being a place to barely put someone's name and address into to being very robust. One of the biggest reasons that I ended up going back to it, because I did terminate a few years ago, just because it was so basic at the time. But I went back to it because of the fact that they have a great post-closing campaign that's actually not just emails. It's a mix of emails and like snail mail and things like that. So that was a tool that I, again, kind of consolidating services, wanting to have more of a one-stop shop instead of trying to find another outsourced product for that.
Yeah.
Something that's also worth noting as far as like when you're shopping around CRMs, the way that they communicate to ARIVE, since it's through Zapier sends us the data the same way no matter what. So far, I haven't heard there's any variance in the user experience, how it connects with ARIVE, because ARIVE's just connecting with Zapier and Zapier gives it to us the same no matter the CRM. So there haven't been any front runners or favorites or preferred CRMs that seem to work best with ARIVE just because of the way that connection works. So you can find the CRM that works best for you. And as long as it connects with Zapier, you'll have success with ARIVE.
All right, there you go. Cool. So we have a question from someone who is a little concerned about the transition. So transitioning over to ARIVE, how long would you say it took for you and your team to truly feel comfortable using ARIVE? Blake, you want to kick that one off?
I basically, when I transitioned, I always had Calyx up until I think last year on an old laptop that I just kept in my office, where I kept all those old records until I really didn't need to keep them anymore due to the state regulations of how long I need to keep them for. I transferred a large portion of them over that I kept most of my borrowers' information into a cloud service, but the transition was pretty simple. I just kind of just started using it and basically did it that way, slowly transferred things over as I went. For getting a team to use it, I think once they learn it, it's much easier than any other LOS. I brought new people in 2020 that had zero mortgage experience, 1 to 2 years right out of college or still in college, and they were able to hop in and kind of understand the process and how everything worked in there and how to work ARIVE within probably a month or two. It was pretty, maybe not even that long. I mean, it was pretty simple for them to generate quotes or collect documents or fill out an application in there once they understood that concept.
Cool. Staci, I definitely want to hear your experience with that as well. But Blake, I'm kind of wondering from your perspective. So with people who are new to the mortgage industry and kind of fresh, right? How did you get them to pick up ARIVE so quickly? Is it partly because it is very intuitive, but did you take advantage of any of the trainings or anything like that?
I think we did a couple of the very beginning trainings. I also kind of trained them through other systems that I had to where they understood like the basic mortgage information. Then from there, I kind of showed them what old systems look like compared to ARIVE, and I kind of showed them kind of basically this is as far as taking an application or preparing a fees worksheet or sending out a quote or just collecting documents and things like that. And it's kind of self-explanatory. If you're on the broker side or thinking about coming on the broker side, I'd say it's definitely the easiest LOS to use. You know, you look at things like what United Wholesale has in their system. It's very comparable to where it's kind of just self-explanatory. Everything's, like I said, on the left-hand side. Anybody who probably doesn't even know mortgages could probably fill an application out on the system and would know where to enter things in. There would be a couple quirky things you may not know, but it's pretty self-explanatory and very straightforward.
Cool. Staci, how about you? What was your experience with learning the system? How long do you think it took you to feel comfortable?
I mean, within the first week, because I've been doing this for 25 years, I have the old 1003 in my head. So I know like the different sections, like it's the employment and it's the buyer information, it's the assets. So I think that for us oldies, it's really helpful just because, again, the left-hand navigation is kind of in those sections as well. So you know exactly where to go. But again, I know that like literally the very first day I was able to get an application on the consumer-facing site and immediately start to work with it. It was not difficult to get credit set up and pull credit immediately. I mean, it was just, again, if you have any level of tech, skill, which of course, someone who has been around the industry at all probably has those skills already. So it was very easy to just kind of plug and play and go. Something that I did want to touch on, just because in some other groups that I'm a part of, there's been a discussion lately about the consumer-facing portal to take an application compared to either maybe what our investors provide, or again, there's one major service that I know I use in conjunction with Calyx for the longest time. And that was one of those things I was so scared to let go because I knew how to use it. I knew how to get the documents from it and work within that system. And there were people saying that they were scared to use ARIVE and that, consumer facing portal because they just didn't know how the integration worked. But the reality is it is so simple because, again, the moment someone finishes that application, everything is already there. In fact, as soon as the consumer starts an application, you can actually see what's going on and start, messing with their needs list if you need to, that kind of thing. And so, I just encourage people to, in fact, it was kind of funny, before I ended up switching on over to ARIVE, I needed to apply for a mortgage in a state that I'm not licensed in. And so I called one of my broker friends, and he had ARIVE. So he sent me the link to go and make my application online. And so I went through it as a consumer on that side before I ever, tried a dummy account and played with it on, once
That's
I got my
cool.
ARIVE set up. And
Yeah.
it was, again, super simple, super very intuitive for a client to, finish the application, see the needs list, upload them right there securely, and feel comfortable about the process. But for the originator, the fact that everything is just right there immediately. If you're talking to someone on the phone and they're like, I just uploaded it, great. I go to that page, it's right there. It is, for that to be so seamless. Again, comparing it back to Calyx, where I didn't have everything right in front of my face or as automated or as instant, having everything in one place, there is literally no reason to not use that consumer portal. And then it's just, again, one of those things that you can remove from your tech stack because it is all integrated and so seamless in one place.
Very nice. Cool. I love that you got to experience the platform from a totally different perspective. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. So someone asked about customer support, being able to get in touch, troubleshooting, things like that. How would you say, your experience has been with ARIVE? Are there enough avenues to get in touch with someone? Maybe someone could speak to the Facebook group a little bit if you're active in that.
Yeah, the Facebook group is great. There's a lot of questions with a lot of people. I'd say the biggest question that some people have is probably setting up DODU and probably LP in the system. And there's a lot of people that run into errors there. The biggest thing is making sure you do have that set up with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac with your brokerage. And then from there, once you have all that stuff in there, there's so many posts in there about getting how to put your credit company in there, how to do this, or any questions you may have that's there. I always say it's probably the best way to get it. I'm the type of person that wants answers right away, which you can get in a live chat, but you can probably find them on your own real quick. If you do need support, you can also do the live chat. And every time I've ever had an issue in there, it's been very responsive, very easy to get a hold of somebody. If we needed to open a ticket from there forward, it was just they'd email me. Everything would stay logged, and so it was pretty simple to do compared to some of the older LOSs.
Yeah, email them late. Yeah, same thing. I typically use the live chat whenever I can, or the Facebook group, because it's not just people from ARIVE that are available in the group, but it's also, of course, everyone that's using it. And so, again, some people are addicted to their Facebook, so they're in there right there to just jump right in and respond if you have a question.
Yeah, I actually just dropped a link into our Facebook group. It's called ARIVE Mortgage Brokers. It really is a wealth of knowledge. If you ever have a question, honestly, chances are it's probably been asked before. So you go straight to that Facebook group. You can type in your question. There's a really good chance that you're going to find some answers there. And then, of course, if you don't find your answer there, you can ask your question there, and we'll be sure to chime in. All right. Okay, so we had some new people join us, so I want to make sure everybody knows you are free to unmute yourself, jump in, ask your questions. Raphael, I saw you just joined us. Welcome. If you have questions, feel free to jump in and ask them. If your microphone isn't working or you're just not comfortable speaking up, feel free to chat me, send me over your question, or drop your chat to everyone so we can all see it. The choice is yours. Okay, so since we were just talking about, kind of the transition, and I think Staci, you hit on something, which is like there's kind of the fear of the unknown almost, right? In a system that you don't know. When you are a busy business owner, a lot of times you don't have time to even relearn something new. If it's going to take you weeks and weeks and weeks, that's just not something that's in the cards for a lot of brokers, a lot of broker owners. So what do you think someone heading into this transition process, someone, new to ARIVE, what should they know going into the process? Do you have any tips for a transition? Because honestly, this is a pain point for a lot of our newer users or prospective users, is the transition. So any words of wisdom there?
From switching from
just
one
having
platform to another, or go ahead, Stacy.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, as long as you have your data in order, as far as like bringing in files from another system or something like that, as long as you have that in order and ready to go, I found that part of the process very, very easy to accomplish. It was not a huge time drain, and yeah, it was. I did not. I honestly, just because it is so easy to use, at least on a basic level. I mean, you're going to continue to learn new tricks and things to make things easier over time. But as far as the actual how quick can I get in and actually start working on a file and structuring and doing what I need to do, it is so fast. It is, same day I can be working on files. So that part is just super easy.
Great.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. As long as you have your data and all your old files kind of set up the right way in your system, transition them over. I know tons of people have done it. It's not very hard. I didn't do it. I kind of just waited it out until I didn't need them anymore. Then as far as, jumping in and using it, it's really straightforward. You can price something out right away. You can fill an application out right away. Linking up your credit company in there to be able to run credit and run DU is it's super easy. You could have it all done in a couple hours and be up and running in no time. It's not going to take that long. And again, if you haven't demoed the platform or seen it, I'd hop on and look at it. Like I said, it's pretty easy to use.
Cool. All right. So someone asked about the Realtor portal. Do you two use the Realtor portal? Do you have realtors who are currently in the portal? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Blake?
I don't have any realtors in the Realtor portal at all. I've seen it. I haven't tested it out. I haven't done anything like that yet, but I have seen it in there as an option where you can put real estate agent as a contact information to where you can email them directly and communicate with them and things like that. But I haven't done anything with it at all.
Okay.
One thing I've heard from brokers is like one way that they like to position it is, you guys always hear like about LOs like offering to buy a realtor coffee and they're trying to get referrals and they're like, what do we even talk about? A lot of LOs like to just use that as like a presentation tool. Like here's a tangible thing that I use to help my realtors. I wanted to show you like what your experience can look like working with me. The way that it works is you invite them, you give them permission to view their files in their own pipeline that looks just like yours. And then you can also give them the ability to edit and download pre-approval letters from up there. They can also upload documents. They can upload the purchase agreement as soon as they get it. And then they can just track the status. They can get other contacts like title agents and the other contacts who assigned to the loan. They can get their contact info from in there. So it's a value add, in a purchase market. It's a good thing to have.
Cool. Thanks, Vince. Yeah, and if anyone is interested more on the Realtor portal, because it is kind of one of those features that either people on the system use it a lot and they love it, and to Vince's point, they kind of use it as a referral partner tool. And then we have people who are like, no, I know it exists, but yeah, it's not really something that I use. So if you want to hear more about how other brokers are using it, there was an episode of Broker Connect a while back. It was Matt Gouget and I think Gilbert Bennett. And they kind of went into detail about different ways that they were using and actually taught each other a few things on the call, which was pretty cool to watch. So that's on our YouTube channel if anyone's really interested in that. All right. So someone asked, how has ARIVE changed your business? And I think I probably know where you guys are both going to go with this. It sounds like, well, I'll let you talk about it, but how do you think ARIVE has changed your business most?
I mean, it's a timely thing for me. I need something that is always working in the background that I never have to think about. And really what I mean by that is if it takes extra time to use more than it needs to, or if it's constantly down, or I know someone mentioned Encompass earlier, um, I don't have downtime with this. I don't have extra time because it's not working. It takes me no extra time to do all of the, everything that I need to do in the system. So it is a value add because I don't have to worry about it working like it needs to. It causes no headaches. So
Love to hear that. Blake, how about you?
It's just honestly freed up time for me, making things much more simple, making things so much simpler throughout the process. In the mortgage industry, I always feel like somebody needs a pre-approval letter or they're buying a house at the absolute worst time. So it's always when I'm out running around, I've done pre-approvals. You can use the mobile app now. As long as you have internet, you can use, you have a laptop, have access somewhere. A computer is just super easy to log on and be able to do a full pre-approval within a couple of minutes, run credit, do anything you need to do. And so honestly, that's probably the biggest thing is it's able to free up more time and I'm able to do more things, more accessible wherever I'm at. And then also being able to kind of, same thing with my team, they have access to it anywhere they go. So it's just probably the accessibility and things like that versus having to be tied to a desk or tied somewhere else all the time.
Yeah, and I think those are the two biggest things we hear from our users is just the simplicity of it, really. Getting your time back, I think, is the biggest one. And being able to work from wherever and go different places and being able to bring ARIVE with you are the biggest things that we hear. Okay, cool. So someone asked favorite features. So what are some of your favorite platform features, or maybe you can even frame it as what's been most helpful for you and your team?
Even though I'm not using the realtor interface, I do use the pre-approval letter. I guess it was like habit, probably the first 6 months I used ARIVE. I was still using my desktop version, like Word document, and going in and editing things every single time. And so now just being able to, click and send has been probably one of the things that has definitely freed up time since I started using ARIVE. So
awesome. Blake?
No, I'd say my favorite feature is probably some of the quote tools. Like I said, I've always worked kind of direct to consumer. You need to be able to kind of put a quote out fast, and you can save templates with title fees in there. It has smart fees linked in where it pulls everything over. So it's pretty seamless to kind of get a quote ready. Also kind of how you can compare quotes. You could show something with like 1 point origination or 2 points, 2 discount points on there. You can also compare it to a current loan situation or what another lender's offering. It can be all side by side. And then you can have the fee sheets underneath, kind of just email those to the borrower with the PDF as PDFs. You could also drop a bomb or a Loom video in there. And it makes it so much easier versus kind of putting together an old fees worksheet like most LOSs have. So it's definitely the quote function is probably what I like the best.
Awesome.
And it's pretty. I mean, it's very easy to look at. It's so many of the other ones are just so many fields that people gloss over and don't understand everything. It's a very user friendly, like for someone not in the industry to look at and use.
Yeah, great. All right, gang. Well, we are coming up on time here. I know that we had a couple new users join within the last few moments. So I just want to make sure, Marianne, Raphael, if you had any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask those questions, or you can chat them and I will read them aloud for you. All righty. Well, if we do not have any more questions from the crew here, Staci and Blake, what did I miss? We covered a lot. I feel like we went through a lot of information. We talked through some really good things. So I thank you guys for that. Did we miss anything that we, should have maybe talked through that we didn't, or did we get to everything we think?
I would say one function that surprised me they were able to roll out really fast was the dual AUS. Most lenders don't, like lenders that are huge, that move billions of dollars, don't have dual AUS in their systems built out yet. I don't know where the other LOSs are. I haven't kept up with them in the past year and a half or 2 years, but that's something that we always look at as a big benefit, is able to run, DU and LP simultaneously, and knowing which option is going to be the best, knowing which one we don't have to have reserves for, or if we need one tax return with this one, or if we get an appraisal waiver on this one. So it's made it very easy for processors and loan officer assistants to go in there and decide what's going to be needed and which ways. I always call it the path of least resistance is the path you take when it comes to doing a mortgage. And so you can pick which one's going to be the easiest to do and then go with that one. So it's made it easier for us to kind of pre-approve people and move forward with loans.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. That is a big one that we missed. So thank you for touching on that. Staci, how about you?
Nothing that comes to mind. Again, it's just everyone kind of makes switching software. I mean, it's the mental, overhaul, saying, "Oh gosh, it's going to be this whole big thing to make a switch over to software," and it's just been made as simple as possible, and to not be too worried about the transition process, because you will get it and you will get it quickly. So,
love that. All right. Well, Staci and Blake, thank you both so much for joining. You guys were awesome. You dropped so much knowledge on everyone. So we really appreciate your time. We know that you're both super busy, so definitely appreciate you being here. For everyone who joined the call today, thank you so much for joining. We love being able to answer your questions live. So thank you. If you are interested in learning more, if you have more questions, more things you want to talk through, maybe with someone from the ARIVE team, we've got a ton of opportunities for that starting on Monday. So join us for office hours, join us for an onboarding and Q&A session, join us for new user training. We have got so many opportunities for you to get your questions answered, and you can find all of those opportunities on arrive.com/events. And hopefully I will see everyone back here for another session of Broker Connect in 2 weeks. We'll have another pair of awesome guests waiting to share their knowledge. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.
See ya.
thanks.
Have a great weekend.